So I decided to start this early because I just need time to like decompress a little bit. I really hope everybody can find this fine. Right now, I'm not gonna start this one yet. That one's a little oof. I'm just curious. Okay, so there's one person watching. Hello. I'm just working on some character sketches. I drew these up ahead of time because I don't do very well under pressure and people watching me. So I thought doing it beforehand would just be better. Feel free to ask things if you want. I'm just kind of sitting here in the dark, in the quiet, other than the groundskeepers deciding to start doing yard work and leaf blowing right before I started streaming. But it seems like they're stopping, or at least moving away from my apartment now. So it's not that bad. to whoever's watching now, can you, like, hear me? I'm not sure. I put my headphones have a microphone on them, but I don't know if you can hear me. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with this guy. I think I was going to make him a hybrid, and I just used a reference of just a regular wolf as the jumping off point. But I don't know what sort of hybrid. I don't know. I could do a wolfhound hybrid. Wolfhounds are cool dogs. I saw one once and he was just absolutely massive. Literally bigger than miniature ponies that I've seen before. He was super sweet. And I love big dogs. I don't know if I'd be able to get one of this size, like, ever. That's a lot of work, and it's a lot of work. And I've only ever had a little basset hound, which they're not small dogs. Mine's kind of small because apparently 40-some pounds is small for a basset, depending on if it's like a American or English version. But yeah, I am used to having to deal with a dog that's really stubborn. That is very true. My dog's going deaf because she's super old, but I came home at one point, and she actually was listening to me because I hadn't been there so long, and that lasted maybe a couple of hours, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm good now. I don't care about you." She's a good dog. I love her. They don't really have a crooked nose. I guess they do. They do. They're not like, it's not really crooked, but it's there. For me to do these though, because I can't always get the symmetry to match up or to get them to look right. I can do full floppy ears, like nobody's business, but that's from drawing my dog. Using all of these wolfish qualities. Not that it really had them in the first place. I tend to have a habit of making the eyes too big or too rounded. Now he just looks like an old frumpy dog. He looks so sad. Why did I do that? No, I think I'm gonna keep that. That looks fun. Oh, hi. I didn't notice you posted. I'm just pacing off into space. It's nice having somebody else to talk to at this point. Like I was saying earlier, I'm just working on some character designs. I was writing the other day and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna add in these characters just like randomly. And so now I have to solidify their design and figure out how they're gonna react to everything. So this is just a warm-up to get myself settled. I don't usually warm up, but that's because I'm usually drawing simple things. I'm probably going to color him later. Let's make this bigger. Can you hear me top quality? It worked yesterday, but I don't know if my whole mic thing is working now. Feel free to ask questions. I'm just kind of sitting here. I usually listen to stuff when I'm drawing, but I can't really do that through this, so just working in silence. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm the one who is the first original watcher. It would be really sad. I've been talking to no one then. Oh, okay, good. Okay. So that might work better because there's only really two of us. I was to make this guy another hybrid again. So this would be our ritual found over here. What should I do with this guy that I'm currently drawing? It wouldn't be the same character because he's too small to do that, but I just need an idea. As I say, I'm adding more detail to him. This guy, I know what I want to do. Oh, I have no idea what their name is. They're not gonna get a name. These are literally just side characters to be side characters. And they're probably not showing up more than one episode. Just need to figure out what I'm doing. Kukis mix. I've never actually announced what the dog that attacked Zidrea in the third episode, I guess, was. But he is in a Kukis mix. Hence the double ears and the little hoggish, not really hoggish, but the little gross stubbly things on his face, on his nose specifically. No, it's not a new main character. That's getting worked on later in the stream though, if I have time. Or if I just need a break from doing this. The canines on this page are all random characters, but these guys are going to have some names and importance. Once I get down to them. I just really wanted to warm up first. I'm going to turn this into the fancy version. Back when I was designing the Akukis, it's actually one of the first original breeds that, or creatures that I designed a really long time ago, it's just gone through a lot of redesigns. But anyways, when I was doing one of the more current redesigns, I decided to give it two separate distinct versions. One's more of a Tibetan Mastiff, and that's what you've seen so far in the webcomic. And the other one is a almost like a Pharaoh Hound or a Sight Hound looking thing. And that's supposed to be like the breed, one of the different breed standards, I guess you could call. Because they're used as just companion animals, really. They're essentially our dogs, but they have some differences genetically. Jaw is literally twisting. Oh, there we go. This is why you check your references. Oh, I have a silencer version on, so if I stop talking for I think like 20 seconds it cuts out, but it might have cut out my actual voice. I'm not working with the best internet here. But I hope everything's back. I decided to do it this weekend because my roommate's out. And I'm like, oh, then I can consume all the internet for a long time. And I won't have to worry. This was a really spur of the moment decision. Sort of, like I knew I was doing it on Sunday. Yeah. I don't think I could handle living on my own right now. That would get really, really lonely really fast. Because I never leave my apartment. Unless I have to. I'm not much of a go out and have fun kind of person. I mean, I'll make plans with people, but I won't, like, go out and party and stuff, and that interests me. That doesn't interest me at all, in fact. Make these short cooked dogs. Maybe. I don't know. Uh, I don't get paid to do webtoons yet. I have a part-time job. I'm just not there at the moment. Like, I go to school in a different state, a really, really different state. But I do have a job lined up for Christmas break and stuff, going home, and I can work then. I'd like to get paid for webtoons, but then I'd have to actually have an actual schedule with it, and as you can tell, that doesn't... I don't have a schedule with this. I will go weeks at a time without working on this, and I don't know. That would be a big difference. It's kind of like when Webtoons announced it was doing the competition and stuff, and it's like, oh, we're gonna... You have to post this much in a time and have them be this long. And like, I don't have the time to do that. I don't have the patience either. I get burned out with art like this really fast. Or I can hyper focus. This picture's looking hilarious. I love it. I love the reference picture that I'm using for this too. The paw's too big. I guess it, no, it doesn't work. I don't have any pets that are personally mine at the moment, other than my fish. He's a little fancy male betta fish that's kind of just hanging out right next to me. I'm in the process of getting a kitten, though. She's a little 6-month-old bicolor tabby kitten that I found on Pet Finder, and I fell in love with her. But at home I have, my family at least has our basset hound and a calico cat. Which, frankly, if I get the kitten and I bring it home over winter break, will be interesting. I can assure you that Waffles hates other cats at this point. And if my dog's around, because she's 15, which is really old for a basset hound, she also has a bad back and a heart murmur, and she's losing it a little bit. I'm very impressed that she's still alive. But I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't make it to December. Just realistically speaking. And I'll miss her. But we also said that about our old cat when she was 17 and she ended up living to 21. So, yeah. Who knows, maybe our dog will just beat the odds somehow. I don't know. I've gone through a couple of betta fish over the years. I was filling out my pet adoption application. I had to say how many pets I had in the past 5 years. And I've gone through like 3 betta fish in the past 5 years. And I'm like, wow. Which it kind of makes sense for betta. And the first one I got was already a couple years old. But I've also had a mouse. He was a little feeder mouse, live feeding gone wrong, and not my snake. I would never live feed an animal to a snake, just from the dangers of it, which is kind of obvious because the mouse, Samson, ended up biting the snake so badly and so much that the snake lost interest in him several times, because the person just kept trying to see if the snake would take to him, and nope. He fought back so much. He was really sweet to me, though. I think he only ever bit me once, and that's because I smelled like my other pets. And my dog was afraid of him, which is really funny. Like, she wouldn't go near him. She'd just, like, shy away. She's not a very fearful dog. It's just, apparently when he was in his ball and he kept running into her trying to figure out what she was, spooked her enough that she didn't want to mess with him. And the cats just thought he was great. They loved to watch him. One day I let him run around on the table his cage sat on, and I forgot he was in there, and I left for like a couple minutes, and I came back, and my cat Waffles is sitting in the room, and she's just staring at the ground, and I look over, and there's my mouse on the ground, just kind of looking around. I don't know how he got from the table to the floor, because mice don't like to jump, and I don't think Waffles would have jumped up on the table, knocked him down, and then jumped back off and stare at him from several feet away. But I was very panicked at that moment. I'm very proud of my cat for not giving into her instincts and deciding to hunt him. Or bigger. Much of that movement. Maybe. I love how ridiculous this picture looks. I might have said that already, but makes me smile. No idea what's wrong with the There we go. Your day's been going well. I've been stressing over this like all day. It's kind of like giving a big speech. You just want it to be over with, but you don't want to do it in the first place. But I kind of wanted to do this. Just was really nervous about it. In this picture I'm drawing, the wolf is just like missing one of its hind legs, and I can't figure out where it went. So it should technically be here, but it's not. And the body isn't right for it to be up over here. And so I have no idea where it went. I don't know. And I don't want to really place the leg in case it's done wrong. Its head's too big. Maybe. I don't know. I tend to question myself when I'm drawing and then don't do anything. Like, I'm like, that doesn't look right, and then I just don't do anything with it. Yes, it is. It is very lonely here. Am I gone again? Did I cut out? Yes, everything's still good. So I'm gonna hold it to it. Just go with it. And if something wrong happened and I didn't notice, I'm sorry. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of expecting it'll fill up more once people get out of school. Or just have time. Yeah, but I'm on fall break right now, so I've had all day to kind of just go with it. My Fridays are kind of empty too. That is one of the greatest things about college, is that not only can you plan your schedule, but you don't have to sit there in a school if you don't need to be there for hours. That was my biggest problem with high school, is all the empty or wasted space in between. And it's not like I didn't have study. I think I only ever had 2 study halls. Yeah. But there were just other classes that we had to take that it made no sense. Well, it did, but it didn't suit my interests at all. Or they were too easy because I didn't technically need the class. And I was just there because I had to get the credits for it. I did end up taking a electronic arts class for my computer credit. I was in senior year and I hadn't done my computer class yet. And so I went to him like, I really don't want to take an average computer class. Can I take electronic arts instead? And they let me. Of course, I was pretty used to using Photoshop at that point. I wasn't completely new at it, even though I've learned a lot more since using it. But that was a fun class. It was a nice reprieve from all my other classes. Sadly, it happened in the very beginning of the day. Well, after AP Chem, which was a mistake. On here. Next upload, I have no idea. I'm currently working on it now. I have everything planned out, but I'm still in the line art phase, which takes me several days to do if I was to just burn through it all at once. And I need to test out some background ideas, which I was going to do today. I'm wondering if I can lower the opacity of the backgrounds further on, kind of like with this one, which I plan on working on later. So the this layer 4, the window frame, and the ground behind it is in 60% opacity, and I'm wondering if I can do that to sort of fade out the background, so that not everything's like all up in your face and you can focus on certain things. But I'm worried with doing that colors would bleed through because I'm not the neatest colorer. I tend to like just barely make it in the lines, and they're not straight lines. And I can't just do a quick fill because because as you can see with this, I leave a lot of open spaces, or I close off certain areas, so I can't just do a bucket fill. So I really want to test those backgrounds, that sort of background thing, because that's the entire episode's like hanging on that idea that I can do it. Other than that, it really depends on when I have time. I've made other commitments that sadly Rabbit Run will have to fall behind. And that's not just because I don't like Rabbit Run, and I don't like doing it. I just know that if I put this into more of a focus point, it will start a downward slide to where I'm not working on schoolwork like I'm supposed to be. Or I'm not putting effort into things that actually matter of my future. So, if that answers your question, the next upload will probably not be for a couple of weeks. And that's just kind of how it goes. I wish it didn't. I wish I could just do like everything all at once and get everything that I need to do for my future sorted out, but that just doesn't happen. I also want to improve the quality. The most recent episode I didn't really like quality-wise, and it was confusing to walk through, but I felt like I needed to get it out there, and that really caused the work to suffer, and I don't want that to happen again. So that's why it's going to take longer for this next episode, because I'm trying to essentially fix my past mistakes on a new episode, if that makes any sense. The good thing is I have everything planned out. Because trust me, a year ago, none of the script was written. Frankly, a month ago, none of the script for this next section is written. So I've been trying to get ahead on the script writing, so I don't get to a point and I'm totally lost of what to do, or it doesn't make sense anymore because I didn't establish things enough. No idea what's going on with these legs here. I think. Okay. They're all like the same color of wolves, and so I'm trying to figure out where these legs are coming from, and it's getting interesting. Because not only is this guy just like missing a leg, you can hardly see this guy's leg sticking out back here. And there's some more legs back here that I'm just haven't figured out where to put them yet because I'm running out of room. I need to take this guy out. Leg here. There's at least one leg back there. I think it's in. There's no leg here. It's coming from the Akukus right here. Is this leg, the very back. And then there's this one here, but I think it's the back right hind of this guy. So I don't know where the left hind is unless it's further away. Or it's hidden behind both of these legs, which would make sense. I've already been doing this for an hour. It does not feel like an hour. But yeah, there's that one. I'm going to shrink this back down again to put some distance in between, and of course it didn't go all the way over. Between them so that they're not so smushed. Then I can get on to my people. Yay! I've thankfully drawn these guys before. I did it earlier in the week, so I know what I'm doing. More than just the rough sketches I have here. Do I have any idea what this one? Oh, that's too low. There we go, that's good. So this guy, he's much smaller Then this guy in the back, you've seen him before. This is the guy with horns that I've just slightly redesigned over time. I was trying to figure out his face structure. I ended up redesigning his entire body, but his main features are there, but I think I might change his color palette. So he's much smaller than him, but he's still supposed to hold himself better and more powerful than he is. Then the guy in the background, like, he has more... Just lost my train of thought. He's essentially not intimidated by the other guy's size, and he's putting out the fact that he's stronger than him. Just need to get his face to... Great, he ended up turning out really elf-like too. Which I guess is okay. I guess he's also more like a goblin. Whenever I was drawing him initially, I just kept thinking about, do you remember the Spectacular Spider-Man series back from, like, a while ago? The Green Goblin in that, his high-pitched voice and, like, his very angular face, and his big ears. That's what I kept thinking of when I was, drawing him initially. Of just a tad bit of crazy. But, man, I love the Spectacular Spider-Man series. I really hated it at first, though, because it was different than the animated series back from, like, the 90s, because they were still, like, showing reruns of that until Spectacular came out. And I was like, it's so different. How dare they change his art style? How dare they make him look different? And the eyes were weird, because they didn't technically have pupils. Their irises were their pupils in terms of showing which direction they were looking in, which is actually a really clever design now, and it really makes them stand out. But I hated it so much when I first saw it. But now I look back and I'm like, wow, that was such a good series. I just love its writing was much better than the animated series, and it knew how to talk, like, it kind of knew how to adapt the Spider-Man arcs and mythos to be friendly to kids, I guess. Ooh. It's supposed to have much of a I'm losing my thought again. He's kind of supposed to have like a flatter face. It helps his nose stick out more, which he honestly doesn't need much help with. This creep does have a name. I'm thinking that his name is going to be Hopewick. Literally hope and then wick, like the wick of a candle. He'll show up a couple times throughout the next little mini arc. Because now in Rabbit Run it's definitely going to get into arcs. And I'm really kind of excited for it. He's going to show up a lot. I just like checking up on this every once in a while. Nope. You thought me drawing some dogs took forever. Get ready for this. I used to challenge myself to see how fast I could draw my Mecanians. And in my old art style, I could do it in like less than a minute and a half when they had box heads, and they looked really childish, because they kind of were. But people have always eluded me. Holding his head up just a little bit. His chin would follow suit, but I would have to drop his head. Yeah, another thing that's gonna really drag out between uploads is I'm incorporating more people, or just more challenging characters to draw. So that's going to really drag out how long it takes me to post in between until I can get comfortable drawing them, which might take a while. So we'll see. We'll see if I need to drop his head down. I might. I probably will. My hairstyle for him hasn't been isn't really like concrete yet. You're essentially just going to want to punch him in the face, though. Because I do right now. You always want characters that you can just wish you could just punch in the face. I tend to get really thirsty when I talk for a long time, so I literally have a huge Tervis water bottle filled with water, and then I have another Tervis cup filled with water, because I didn't know how much I'd be drinking, and I didn't want to run out, because my voice will dry out like really fast, and so, yeah. Maybe I should get him slicked back here. But the whole point is that he is dressed a certain way. Sort of. I haven't really figured out the mechanics of it, because in the one scene that he's introduced in, he's gonna come in looking different due to hologram technology, and I haven't figured out how different he's gonna look. If I spoil things, I'm sorry. When I was practicing yesterday, setting up the live stream, making sure my voice sounded okay, which I still can't get the background fuzz out, though at the time I was doing it, my dishwasher was going. I literally spoiled something, even though nobody was listening, thankfully. I paused for like 2 seconds, and then I literally said, oops. Like, it was really sad. And it was quite a big spoil, too. I'm really glad I didn't say it today. But I just kept going. I'm trying to be really, really conscious of what I'm saying, too. Because yesterday I was just droning on and blabbering because I didn't know what to say. I was just testing out the mic. But it was certainly something that I laugh at. I laughed then, too. It was great. So do you think his hair should go out like this, or sweep in like that? Because I don't know. Depends on what type of misfit you want him to look like. That is a question for you, Top Quality. Decide how his hair is going to look. You're in charge of deciding how this character will look for probably at least 3 episodes. So go for it. Now is your chance to shine, because I have no idea. Yes, you're in charge of this. Decide for me. How should it look like an anime character? Super, super spiky, like he uses 10 cans of hair gel every day? Hey Rowan, you have joined our party of 3. This is all I've done so far. In over an hour and 20 minutes. Just the black lines. Because the blues were already there when I started. Okay. I can admit that I have been watching a lot of uh, Dragon Ball Abridged, and I think I can do this. It's supposed to look like an elf. Sort of. He's supposed to look really, really mischievous, and honestly, you just want to punch him in the face. That is my emotion right now with him. I don't know. How often do I really want to punch you in the face? gonna give him a little bit of flat top in the back, just so that you can tell that he uses way too much gel. He's quite proud of it too, I think. I think this guy would be, Hopewick would be very proud of how much he can afford to put his hair up like this. I think you should be pleased to say that here that I don't think I want to punch you very often. I want to make his hair go that way, but something inside is telling me don't. I guess this would also determine that he is officially left-handed. Because isn't it, left and right hand people tend to part their hair in different ways? If given the option to. I don't know. I never part my hair, so. Vertically? Oof. That is a lot of gravity-defying hair gel, I think. Here. Let's make a new layer. Turn this down really far. And decide from there. What have you done? You will know forever that if this goes wrong. True. Give me just a second. I need to unplug my phone. I was starting to smell candle, and I don't have a candle on my room, so yeah, that's fun. There, now I can actually see what I'm doing. I really don't want it to go the other way. Don't know why. See, at this point, he's starting to look more like a Yu-Gi-Oh character, where they are defined by their hair than he is by his other features. Sorry, I don't know how to turn it off at the moment. I honestly thought there'd be more people because I was hopeful that way, and I don't know why. Just give him some mousse. I could make it look really shiny. Maybe it should curl up just a little. Because when I was first designing his hair, he looked very Peter Pan-esque. specifically what the Peter Pan and Wendy that our school performed, with how messy his hair was. And then I went, well, maybe not. That just looks like he has spikes coming out of his head. Which he kind of does, but... like, that's what his original hairstyle was, really, really messy, and then I decided to change it. So I'm just trying to decide his hairstyle. Thanks, Rowan. You're just making my phone line up now, like, vibrate. So do you think something more like this spiky, or do you think it should go out in random places? Maybe he's just trying to mask up his nose, because his nose is super long. Oof. I keep trying to make these little triangles like I'm just doing fur. That's not working. Yes. Neither do I. Until I have to color this mess. See, I just got a Goku style right there in the background. Maybe if I just... take this out and... oh, I've never done this before. In a sea of lies? I don't get it. Please elaborate in the next minute, because I turned on that slow mode for whatever reason at the beginning of the stream. I don't think it should change angles. You can't make them any smaller, because then it just looks really weird. But I want to make them smaller so badly. Oof. Top quality, what did you do to me? I don't know, why did you think it was a really good idea? Why did I listen to you? Maybe he'll just wear this once. He'll come out and he'll have this huge hairstyle with full of extensions because he can. And it's just because he can't not be the center of attention, this Hopewick. So maybe he'll just come out finally, and I'll give him a more subdued hairstyle when I first introduce him. How does that sound, guys? Oh, he can't have a hair part. It's huge head of hair. This does fit his character though. He totally would do this. Even though I've given you guys no instances on his character. He's just that much of an asshole. Sorry. Ignore that I just said that. He was my, this guy was my spur of the moment, sitting in stat class, writing and scripting, and deciding, I'm going to create a whole new character, and give him several episodes worth of work. Oh, what would he look with a bowl cut? See, don't do this to me. Now I have to see. Because I'm probably going to erase this layer, or at least the hair on his layer right here, so I'm going to do it this way. Like, how high of a bowl cut? Are you talking about bowl cut, where they got a saucer that was too small for his face? Because that would be hilarious. Is that the one? I get the shape of his head. Ah, now he looks like a preppy rich kid. For some reason wanted a bowl cut. Yes. Great idea. It is canon. If I can... What? It's not worse. It is great. You just need to get the actual, like, bowl in there. He comes out wearing a bowl as a hat, and it has a strap that goes under his chin. Ooh. Because honestly, the first time you see him, his whole shtick is like fitting in with the locals, which is actually a huge insult because he's supposed to look really, really bad. So maybe he'll just come in with this huge ass bowl cut and be like, I'm fitting in with the locals. Don't you guys all get these like $2 haircuts? That would be great. If I can get this to work, because I've actually never done a bowl cut. I thought it died out. No, you're not. There has to be levity somewhere. It's not high enough. He's just wearing this giant cracked bowl on his head. That is the inspiration he got when doing this. Is I'm just gonna get go. He'll come in like this at first. And then when he shows up to his party, he's wearing this monstrosity on top. And people are like, what happened to all of your hair? How did you get so much more hair? It's only been like 2 weeks. Should he have long hair in the back, guys? Oh, he should. And that makes it excellent. Because I'm pretty sure I designed his hair to be white or like a really light color, so that is even better. And he's obviously using hair gel to get it to look like this, guys. This is what it's come to. This is the most powerful person we are going to meet in the entire comic, and this is what his face is going to look like. Oh, I love it. But he's not showing up in the next episode. He's showing up in like 2 or 3. Don't worry. He won't show up right away. You'll forget that he exists, and then he'll show up in all of his glory. My roommate just asked how it's going. I'm gonna send her a picture of this. Because I don't know if I'm going to give him long sleeves or not, but he would just look so much better with them. He already has this, like, stupid jacket. That's what these are right here, is the tail of his jacket coming off at the sides like Seto Kaiba. Oh, come on, you just had a small part to play in this. You might have decided, but yeah. Don't worry, I'll put him on a t-shirt when I get that option. He's supposed to have these shoulder pads like the 80s. And then he's supposed to have this stupid looking jacket coming off. Like, it's obvious he puts wire frames in his jacket. How else will he get it to stick like this? And that, my friend, is not your work. That is mine. That is me deciding that he just needs to look really bad. I am. Sometimes my tablet will glitch. It's not as bad as my first one. I never actually decided what his pants look like. Or the fact that they flare out at the ankles too, like his jacket. Maybe he does have an accent. I haven't written one yet. And like I said, he's supposed to have a really punchable face. Just wait until I color him. Skinny little arms. I was thinking these designs for this dimension that Zedrea is currently in is called the Rothel dimension. It almost sounds like brothel. I just realized that. Oh. It was either gonna have really, really poofy outfits, like Victorian style poofy outfits, or it was going to have, as being like the style, or it was going to have these really, really angular, everything sticks out at a weird angle. Thank you. It was either going to stick out like really poofy and fluffy, kind of like my morning tea picture where everything like is softer edges, or it was going to be that there were obviously wires in their clothes to make it look like this. And I think I've decided. Or at least Hopewick is gonna try extra hard for his outfits, because he can. He has the money to do so. It looks like he's wearing a smock. I give him little elf shoes, like ones that like curl up, but I think that would be a little bit too out there. Should I do it? I'll do it if you say I should. I will hate myself even more when it comes time to actually redraw this character. literally never worked a day in his life. Hopewick's supposed to be in his 20s too, so he's at that age where he decided to dress like this. He thought it was a good idea, and it wasn't like a little kid trying to fit in. I said I'll incorporate the anime hair at some point. Just not yet. I think he looks great. Look at him. Just wait until I color him. He's gonna literally have an egg on his face. If it makes you feel any better, when Hopewick shows up, the scene focuses on him. Like, he is always either in front of somebody, or he has the strongest lines on him, or, yeah. Even when Stevenson talks, or he's looking at something else, it is focused on Hopewick. You cannot get him out of the center of attention. I think he looks great. If he makes it you feel better, I took a picture of his face so I can always go through and erase his hairline, and we can go back to his crazy anime hair. But just so you know, you cannot get rid of his hair. I know what his bowl cut looks like at this point. There. Is that better? I wouldn't say I have a shred of sanity. My sanity left a long time ago. I think I'm going to keep his neck this long though. Oof. I hate hands. I'm going to tell you that right now. I hate hands with a passion. I mean, they're so hard. I can never get it to look right or line up right, and they always just look stupid. There. Excuse me. Don't worry, it still exists. I can always bring it back in like two seconds. I just won't at the moment. I'm going to work on Mr. Stevenson over here. Kind of need to move that a little further. And I'm going to do him on a different, which I don't know why I moved him over then if I decide to just put him on a different layer. Oh. So Stevenson actually has an interesting name that I put in there. Like, Stevenson isn't that weird, and neither is Asa, which is going to be his first name. But, it's going to actually have a huge impact on Zedrea, because in her culture, like the Geisimas, or, Asa is determined to be essentially the same thing as calling somebody king or rex in the Latin form. Just essentially leader. And so he doesn't technically have the title of leader. And Asa is just a normal name in the Rothel dimension. But Zedrea is going to be really shocked that he's an Asa. She's going to assume, like, she's going to assume Asa is his title, and Stevenson is his name, like his actual name, not his last name. And she's going to take that completely to heart. She is going to think that he is her leader, essentially. And she won't trust him all the time, because she's still only 9? Yeah, she's only 9 years old at this point. So she's still going to respect him slightly. She's going to doubt his methods every once in a while, but she won't audibly speak up against him. She actually never talks to him at all. But she won't, like, say, oh, you're being stupid. And she'll defend him, too. Like she's supposed to if she was in her actual, like, if she was still on Rekentum with her family. Her father's an Asa. Her father, Asa Heliger, is the leader of the Geisima pack, I guess you could say. It's a relatively large pack, though. And Xerus, his father, Morsinus, is also an Asa. So she's kind of from a higher blood, sort of. It never really ends up going anywhere, other than the fact of what her disappearance has on her father, like the implications it has on her father and on the Geisima tribe as a whole, over the years, which we will get to back to Heliger at some point. I just haven't figured out when I want to put him in. Ooh, I can't do your chin. And do the rest of the head first. Now, sadly, Stevenson already has a established haircut. He won't have any weird haircuts that we can have fun with, sadly. And his character as a whole is kind of established. Good, take ownership of it. He doesn't have much of a brow ridge either. He does have some strong cheekbones, though. I haven't figured out how wide apart I want his eyes to be. So technically I'm hitting the 2-hour mark, but I'm just gonna keep going. I'm having fun. I can just make dinner later. That's kind of the thing about being here. So if I can just decide to make food when I'm hungry. I can't get this ear to look right now. I have to move his head over. It's too far to the right. But first, let's do his horns and hair. And his eyebrows too. He's actually older than Hopewick. I think Stevenson's in like his 30s, maybe. He might be late 20s. I haven't decided yet. But while Hopewick's in like his early 20s, like he might be 22. Right. The end determining factor of how long ago might be my computer. It's not giving up anytime soon. But it's starting to make a lot more noise. sometimes I get really worried when I draw eyes that, you know, like those old, like, or just any, like, plastic animal that you can get, or something where they have to paint the eyes in. They never get the irises to, or the pupils to line up. And sometimes they're, like, super close, where it's like, oh, you tried really hard, and other times it's like, oh, the machine just missed. Just flat out missed. Oh, Stevenson, he has horns, because I kind of wanted just to give him horns. But he looks like one of those white bulls that you see a lot in more of like towards Asian countries, or just like high or like more deserty climates, where they tend to be a little bit more free range. And he's had horns since the very beginning, when I first designed him. And that's just, my brain went, that's a good idea. I don't know, he's a nice guy. He's supposed to be a nice guy. He just has horns. I don't know how bipeds would even work with horns. Like, why would they have them? Because most antelope or bovines that like have horns use them for combat or show, but that would mean that his skull would have to be like a lot stronger if he was to actually use them for combat. And there'd also be a whole bunch of other implications, like how much of his energy would be used to developing these horns. Would males and females have the same size horns? Was this a genetic modification, or was this an evolution thing? Because the Rothel dimension is supposed to have like higher technology that they use for their own uses. So it's very likely that this is a cosmetic thing to have. It's more cosmetic than it is purposeful to have horns as a species instead of not having them, I guess. I don't know, it makes them different. I mean, there's a female orc-like character that shows up in the next episode. I have drawn her, and she has tusks, very small, like hoggish or boarish tusks. She literally looks like an orc. That just ended up how it worked out. And her size makes sense. She's seen with elephants, or at least ancient versions of elephants, and her size makes sense of why she's keeping them, or she's aiding them, because the Rothel dimension is a menagerie, essentially. So you need keepers to take care of them. And that is Stevenson's purpose with the Drea. He is essentially her keeper and caretaker. Well, she's used for multiple different reasons. It's not your traditional zoo or menagerie. It's very Roman-esque of how they treated animals, where it's not terrible, but they're used for entertainment. And that's kind of why all of these wolf hybrids, dog hybrids, they're going to be in the same exhibit, essentially, but they're not related at all. They're kind of just put in there because they can be. Back in the day when menageries were first being formed, they oftentimes put lions and tigers together, or leopards and jaguars, because they looked cool together. or they didn't have space, or they're like, oh, these are all cats, let's just throw them together. And so it has very much so that aspect to it of it's for the visitor's enjoyment, not for the quality of life for the animal. Stevenson was hired because of his quote-unquote vast knowledge of dogs. Because they were able to recognize at least that Zidrea is part dog, because she looks like a German Shepherd. And she does have German Shepherd ancestry in her. They don't know about Mucanians. And they probably wouldn't have put her in the menagerie if they could deem that she was an intelligent species, because they do have a thing against that, which is sort of pointed out the fact of, even though Stevenson looks animalistic with his horns, he's not in the menagerie as a prop. He's in there as a citizen. He has a job, he gets paid, everything like that. He's a full citizen, because his species has shown that they are intelligent even though they look animalistic. Sometimes I put too much thought into this. Figure out what she's doing, what he's doing with this arm. I guess if he's just putting it down from holding it from something, it works. Like if there was a cradle rail in the back that he just had his hand on. Because he's turning away and following him, because Hopewick started walking off, so of course he has to keep eye contact with him. Yep. He's also kind of terrified. It'd almost be like you're working in a fast food chain and all of a sudden the CEO of the company comes in and starts talking at you. Well, he has to. It's literally his job. He has to be subservient to Hopewick in everything he does. Partially because he knows that Hopewick would get pissed off if he didn't. And fashion's a little different in the Rothel dimension. They tend to think different things are appropriate, or I guess looks good. He's not a servant per se, but like I said, Hopewick has full, like he doesn't, Stevenson doesn't directly answer to Hopewick, but Hopewick runs that part of the menagerie, and he essentially hired, his overall family and company hired Stevenson, and Hopewick has full ability to fire him on the spot, or banish him. He can arrange it so that he goes to a dimension where he can't survive. Nobody's gonna bat an eye. They're also talking about something very specific in this scene that's kind of important. So Stevenson doesn't want to take his eyes off of him in case Hopewick says something. He has his full attention, essentially. Yes. It's a culture where you can get fired or straight up murdered. Because it's going to be very obvious that the entire culture revolves around of, if they say you're fired and somebody higher than you say you're fired, obviously you can't put up much of a fight. And Hopewick makes, it's somewhat capitalism where Hopewick makes a lot of money, his family makes a lot of money. He comes from a very rich family. That's very impactful in the total economy. So if Hopewick goes down, or he's not happy, he can change the entire way that the dimension operates, or at least a good enough portion of it. So he's not just some random boss of some like basic CEO company. It's like the CEO of Disney, or Amazon, just a jerk. What does he do for his job? Like I said, Stevenson, his entire job is taking care of Zedrea and making sure that her health is maintained so that she can go and be either out for exhibit or go to enrichment, quote unquote, where her actions are used for gambling and bets, kind of like horse racing or greyhound racing. So if something goes wrong with Zedrea, or something goes right, like basically her well-being is reliant off of Stevenson being able to do his job well. Hopewick doesn't really have a job. He owns things. He has a lot of property that he owns, and he can shape the world that way, but he doesn't have an actual job. He's still the rich son of his father, or his daddy's doing all the work for him. He doesn't have to do anything. But he still has power. Oop, be good if I'm on the right layer. right? Yeah. Either I need to make his head smaller or his body wider. His arm has to move too. Wider. Okay. I'm trying doing that. It's gonna cut off really weird, but okay. Yeah, that does look better. Sort of. His chest is still, it's actually a little bit too big, but his hips and legs could get bigger. Not too much of a difference. But he is supposed to be stockier, especially with his horns. Supporting that extra weight would automatically make his neck, chest, and legs bigger. So yeah. Line up these better. Move. Thank you. I think I'm going to move on to Aldi. Because I don't know if I want to color this. I really want to get Aldi sorted out. Because she's an interesting character all to herself. This is a main character. She's going to be for a while. She is a saber-toothed cat hybrid, essentially. She might just be a saber-toothed cat. Saber-toothed cat all on her own. I haven't decided if she comes from a dimension where there's actual megafauna still living around and existing, or if she's a recreation or brought back to life. Essentially. Though it is established that no matter what, she's not like the only one of her kind. There's an entire species of saber-toothed cats. Not with Aldi, other than her coloration, because I do want to get her colors done today. even if I just do this bigger portion of her. Aldi is much more set in stone than Stevenson. Or even, well, especially compared to Hopewick. But maybe it depends on if I keep doing these live streams, because they're fun and I like doing them. It's nice being able to get other people's input for stuff as I draw them. These fake face markings are back from when she was more mountain lion based than she was jaguar. I really tried staying away from tiger when designing her, because it's one of those weird pet peeves of mine where I don't like people referring to things by, in my opinion, wrong common names. Kind of like how there wasn't any saber-toothed tigers, there were saber-toothed cats. And I really didn't want to continue the stereotype of her having really, really tiger-like features. The problem is that spots are a pain to draw over and over again. So she has a very altered look for her being a jaguar base. She's not coming up until later. She comes up before Hopewick, but she comes up in after the hybrid, the wolf hybrids on the previous page. I honestly thought around this time was when I was going to hit 1,000 subscribers and do the Q&A and everything. So I thought that I'd have at least her character established by the time I did the Q&A. She's existed for a long time. Not as long as some of my other characters. She might have shown up. She might have been around before Gia was in the whole conception of Rabbit Run. Not for very long in comparison, though. But she was definitely supposed to be the second mother to Zedrea, first. Like, she was meant to raise her, beforehand, before I thought of Gia. So I've always kind of wanted to do her justice, because she kind of has like a history that I want to share. The only problem is I can never get her colors to look right. Well, I'm glad you found it. Yeah, I spend too much time on webtoons too. I am really glad that people found it. It was at first on DeviantArt, and that was a mistake. But this was many, many years ago. This was over 4 years ago when I first started writing it. I'm like, I'm gonna put it on DeviantArt because that's where all the artists post, right? I had no idea webtoons and Tapastic and stuff like that was a thing. And I'm really glad I decided webtoons. Because did you know that DeviantArt can own all of your property if you post on there? It's hidden in their terms of conditions in a whole bunch of jargon, so you can't find it. Or you don't understand what it's saying right away, because little kids post on there. But it's saying that if you post anything on DeviantArt, DeviantArt owns your name, like your artist name, your art. They can do whatever they want with it, so they could sell it to advertisers without telling you or getting your consent, and they don't have to pay you for it. Which is really shady. Like, that's just disgusting. And I knew they didn't have protection against copyright infringement or anything like that, or art theft, but I guess that's so that they could steal themselves. I don't use DeviantArt much anymore either. But no, I can't tell you how many like webtoons I've binged. Unordinary, I binged in like 2 or 3 days. Recently. My Boo, I've started reading as well. That's been really cute and sad. It's a really good time waster when you're waiting in between classes, because I have a lot of time between classes. Or I get there early, so I just have to wait. My problem is it drains my phone. It's been a nice quiet stream with, I think, just 3 people. Nope. Rowan must have left. That's fine. I actually didn't know what I was going to do with myself if more people showed up. I think that's why I mainly put on the time limit. Because I'm like, what if there's so many people? Which was a little bit of hopeful thinking. I'm actually being really productive for drawing. Okay. So I think this is all I'm going to do with this page in terms of line art. I'm going to focus more so on coloring for her now. So you'll help me decide colors. That'll be fun. I have to add her markings. She does have, flip through one of my sketchbooks. She does have very, very specific markings that I have to find. Oops. Oof. I posted this on Twitter at some point when I was first designing her. I was out with family that night. We went and ate crabs. Sort of. I didn't eat as many as my family did. But let's see. Oh, I did have, no, I decided to change that. Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm surprised. I'm more surprised at the fact, and I'm thankful for the fact that everything's working. I also don't notice things right away. I think the stream itself is on a 5-second delay or so. So she doesn't have that many spots because I couldn't handle all that. Drawing her so often with so many spots. Instead, she has some darker or black. I haven't decided if they're dark brown or black. Foot markings, kind of like when you see on like black tabby cats or brown cat tabbies with black markings. They have those little like black parts on their back of their foot. So she has that. And then she has a couple of spots hanging around on her legs. And honestly, these spots will change all the time. They're just more of a guide of like, oh, there's these spots here. I think the only ones that won't change will be the ones on her neck. Because honestly, even Zydrea's markings change, like, all the time. Because I can't get them perfect, and they're just... I don't know. I don't pay attention to that sort of stuff as much. Because I can recognize my characters from drawing their form, which I know a lot of people can't. So I just, like, inadvertently don't pay attention to what they look like in terms of spots, other than their defining features. Because when you look at Zydrea, it's very obvious that she has her eye marks, her brow marks, and then the little V at the top where her darker colors are. And the way that her fur parts on her neck. And then Gia has her round fur cheeks and the tips on her ears and her brows that are distinct. But other than that, they don't have much of a difference in forms or determining features of what they look like. So... I think she looks quite beautiful. Aldi gets her name from, in front of her exhibit there is a jewelry shop named Aldi, or it has Aldi in the name, and with the necklace markings on her neck, it kind of just fits. That's why they decided to name her Aldi. So, now for colors. I can never decide her color. But usually what I go with is a lighter brown. See, I have one hidden up here. Like a lighter yellowish brown. I've never gone in the color libraries though to see. Ooh, that's actually a good color combination. I think it's like, yeah, it's literally one up from Zadrea's. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But I think those are all these colors. Oh, these are Zadrea's colors. Are they? But I like this color combination. What I do when I decide colors is I pick a color on the picker, and then I go into the color libraries because I'm a cheat, and I look for colors that look good. Those look good too. Because it literally tells you what colors look good together. So that could work. No, those aren't Zadrea's colors. I think. I don't know. At this point I haven't looked. So then what you do is you go to not that one. You go to a bigger brush. And you just fill them in. My problem with deciding colors for cats is that they have so many nuances in their pelts that it's really challenging to simplify them. Because with dogs you can simplify it to like 1 or 2 colors, maybe 3. But with especially like big cats, they have so many different hues and everything in their pelt that it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what it is. Like, you can use a base color, but there's also a lot of little subtle changes in there that greatly affect how the cat looks. And that's always been my problem, is deciding a color. Not having spots on it makes it even more challenging with a coat. Because have you ever tried to like look or draw a leopard or something with stripes without their stripes or spots or some sort of defining feature? Especially with leopards and jaguars, they look, and snow leopards, they look really wrong, and you feel as though you've screwed up somewhere and you can't figure out how. until you add the spots, and then it's like, oh, it actually works. Like, I remember I did a snow leopard piece for some friends for their birthday, and I was so upset because I waited to do the spots last, and I was doing these, before I did the spots, I'm looking at them like, this looks really bad. Like, it doesn't look like snow leopards. Oops. It doesn't look like it's supposed to. Their birthday's in a couple hours because I'm a master procrastinator and I can't fix this. Then I'm like, I'm just gonna add the spots and see what it looks like. And then it was fine. And I'm like, oh. I was worrying over nothing. I never double fill when I'm doing it to get rid of those black line, those pixels that didn't get filled in, because it actually makes it really blocky, and I don't like doing that. I guess I could always go around and erase it, but then I add in a new layer and I create a clipping mask, because what happens is when it's in a clipping mask, if you just do this, it only shows up on the color that is initially there, and it's great. I love it so much. I'm really lazy. So let's see how these color combinations work. I really wanted to give her a pale face and a pale muzzle. And just go up with the cheeks. If you think I should do something a different way, feel free to suggest it, because I have designed her and redesigned her probably about 5 different times, maybe more, and I can never get her design to look good or how I want it to, and I just don't know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what I want either, but that's a different question. But I can never get it to look right. Even that's wrong, and I'm looking something up now. Photo references are your friend. That's how I do 90% of my things. Oh. Oops. Okay. So, fun fact. Jaguars have white under their eyes, not as much above. So that's a little bit too big. And then they have, doesn't come down this far. Or does it go up that far? But they do have a different color, and that's always my problem, is like there's another color there. But I was right in thinking that they had white above their nose. I'm just heavily implying it at this point. Don't have I always find it amusing when you're looking up a jaguar or a leopard, they tend to switch the images. Like, websites don't know what the other one looks like. It gets really bad when they mistake a cheetah for a leopard. That's really sad. It doesn't happen as often, though. And you can usually tell, like, I think I actually, okay, no. You can usually tell by the structure of their face. Jaguars have really, really rounded faces, while leopards tend to be more diminutive and small and angular. They're just like a lot more fragile, I guess, looking. And I kind of wanted that with picking a jaguar over a leopard, because with going with a Smilodon or a saber-toothed cat, they actually have a fascinating theory of how these things hunted, and it just makes them seem so much more awesome. They think that they didn't chase down their prey. There's one theory that saber-toothed cats did not chase down their prey. They literally waited for them in trees or in higher elevation areas for their prey to walk underneath of them. And then they would jump down and open their jaw really as far as it could go, because it can open up really far, and like impale their prey in the back of the neck with their sabers, and that's how they killed him. That is amazing. I think that's great. And jaguars have a much stronger bite force than essentially almost any cat. They have one of the strongest bites and jaw strengths, and they also are really muscular because they have to then pull their prey up a tree if they need to, which leopards also have that ability to do so. But just the fact that they stalk and kill their prey from a tree is great, and I love it so much. And that's what I really, really wanted to incorporate. Isn't it? I love it so much. And it makes no sense otherwise. There's no reason for them to have sabers, but sabers show up multiple times through different evolutionary lines. But the problem is it makes them they're so much more specialized hunters, because their sabers are kind of fragile and they can't bite. They can't clean a carcass right. They can't really get into the carcass very far, because their sabers prevent them from doing that, and they could actually break if they put too much stress on them. So these cats are walking around with these huge sabers meant specifically for one thing, but they can't clean a kill. Like, it's so detrimental to their survival, but sabers have shown up multiple times, and that just shows how awesome they are. So I think I like that white coloration on her. I might make it lighter, because I like how toned down it is. I really like more earthy colors, but let's see if we brighten it up just a little bit. And go for it. It's really yellow. Yeah, I do like that better. Maybe. Because she's not really... Jaguars tend to be really orange. But she's not. She's kind of browny yellow. That would be a good shade. If she's in a darker area, the more mellowed out would work. Though it is really bright. See, this is the problem I run into with drawing cats like this. hesitant. A little bit bigger. I never know how to fill in this space right here because it's so big. But I just don't want it to make it look bad. This is totally where you can contribute if you think I should do something else with her face. I will go for it wholeheartedly because I have been stuck in this Aldi-sized rut for years. I don't know, maybe I should turn that down. Oh, she's supposed to be Blackhawks. That looks better. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think it should be darker? Like how when I lower the opacity, or do you think it should be an actual darker color? And what should be darker, the cream or the tan? Because I will introduce a darker color on top. she'll just be kind of colorful. The cream should be a darker color. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Hi, Rowan. Glad to see you're back. Help me decide these colorations for Aldi. This does work better. Maybe the yellow should be like a highlight. Back. Okay. Yeah. A darker color. That's actually really dark. These colors don't actually go very well together. I'm kind of seeing that now. Like they're paired up together, but they have such a different shade and like base color to them. It almost looks red. And tone it back again. That sort of works. What do you think for this color combination? Feels like I should do something here. Oh, are you talking about the bowl cut? I got rid of that. I can send her a picture of it though. Are you ready for this, Rowan? This is brilliant. This was our brilliance at work. Yeah, I like the red better than the red. And the bowl cut for the other character, for Mr. Hopewick here, it is totally coming back. once my phone decides to send it. There we go. Like, he is going to show up wearing that, as having that hairdo at some point, and he had decided to go out in public like that. Don't worry, top quality. You'll never regret this. This will be the best decision of your life. You'll die old thinking, that was a good decision. And honestly, you could have worse. Hair designs are not a life ruining. Yeah, but his is going to be gelled over too, not just like natural shaggy hair. I do want that red though, right? I don't like that. Maybe the other color will work. No, I should. If I make it really faint, it would work. Yeah. That's. Oh, thanks for like the pop in real fast. It's nice having people here. Yes. Like I said, he has to go through bottles and bottles of it every single day. Like, he's rich enough to do it. Having this blank space here always irks me, but I don't want to. She's gone through a lot of designs on her flank too. Because I remember one was. Oh, how fun. Man. You're lucky. We were in theater together and we did 39 steps for one of our shows. We also, our troupe went to nationals for it, essentially. And we were this broke little school that has like no budget, and we shrank the scene. We shrank the size of the stage too. But we ended up going to nationals for it. It was really fun. So this was one of her markings that she had at some point, except I think it went further back. It looks like a rabbit. Wow. This was one of her markings at some point. But I didn't like it because it was too stripy. And kind of busy. I don't like that. I don't know. It could work. It It's not too complicated. What do you think? I could change the but no. Oh, it's another. Do. I'm wondering about having to do it over and over again. And of course I'll make just more lining. Where it does break up, but then I wouldn't need top lines. And this design would be more highly sought after as a pelt pattern, I guess. No, I didn't. My thing hasn't moved. I think if I was to use these colors, I would change the color of the other dark brown to match it. And I would also fray this tan on the inside. Yeah, I'd fray this a little bit to match. Otherwise it's too perfect. Oh no, does that look better? Do you think I should change anything else? Break this up a little bit too. When it's in the actual webcomic format, it will be much cleaner. Like I might end up doing just like a whole straight line going through. I tend to go from realism and then build it back up. I don't think her design looks too bad. Main color. Paste. Sometimes I'll switch the color picker to one layer, and then I won't figure out why it's not doing it correctly. So she's about 9 years old. That means her teeth aren't perfectly white. That's why I did a quick layer. Her teeth aren't perfectly white, but they're kind of there. They're close. They've yellowed with time. Almost have some whiter highlights. Her eyes, I think her eyes were going to be... No, that doesn't show up. Her eyes were going to be like a oranger, like a more orange color. More orange gold. That. But I think that ages... She's not graying at this point. She would in a couple of years, though, I guess. Cats don't really gray as much as dogs do. At least that I've seen. They get other, like, geriatric qualities. But I think that does look really good for her. I think the color combinations and stuff. What do you think? This might change by the time she finally comes around, but so far, this is what she's gonna look like. Because I might condense this color to and this color to be just one. To make it easier on myself. Is this the same name you use on Webtoons, Top Quality, or do you use something different? you're still there. I get if you're not. I've been doing this for 3.5 hours. I'm almost done though. I want to thank you for sticking with me like the entire time. What looks good? Well, my question was, do you think she looks good now? Thank you for sticking with me this entire time, because I'm almost done. And do you go by a different name on Webtoons? You don't remember what your Webtoons name is? I mean, I get that. I forget a lot of my usernames sometimes. I think this. Did I even put? I didn't put her color in. Duh. You should remember what your name is. Oh, that looks good. They're just not. Do you have any requests that you want to see specifically? Because otherwise I'm probably going to sign out and go make dinner. I don't even know what I'm having for dinner. It's kind of late to make that what I wanted to make. But if you want me to do something specifically... Oh, you do have the same name. Good. Because if you want me to do something specific left, I can. Otherwise, I'm actually starting to get a headache. But I think I want to do this again sometime. I'll turn off slow mode because nobody shows up. And I'll probably change the time too. But I would just have to figure out when I can do it. probably not going to be until December. And then I'll just hog my parents' Wi-Fi and do it then. And I'll do it in my room so my cat can be with me. My poor cat. Okay. Thanks. I will go eat. Thank you so much for showing up. I had a lot of fun. I hope. Yeah, I do plan on doing this again sometime. And you should come join in. You'll have seniority over everybody else. 'Cause, yeah. But thank you so much for showing up. I might put this on archives. That way, all of this will be remembered forever. But thank you. You should go eat too. It's probably dinner time, or at least some sort of meal time wherever you're at. But goodbye.